Tomatoes from Nowhere, Naigalgon Farmer, Episode 2. Recycling my kitchen water waste has become my new obsession, especially after seeing how it has slowly converted me into a horticulture farmer. See, many farmers and medium traders have reached out to me asking if I could develop an horticultural market information website similar to my current one on dry agricultural commodity trade, Better Grains, www.bettergrains.com. I have toyed with the idea, but really lacked the incentive to do it because I was not particularly trading in fresh produce. Yes, I have the data on horticulture, but data without any street business smartness, especially from the African informal market perspective, was not enough motivation for me. I see the need, but lacked the incentive to develop the website. Until one day, as I was watering my mangoes and avocado seedlings, I noticed a tomato plant sprouting near my mango and avocado seedlings. Then I thought to myself, let's see what will happen. So I continued watering it along with my mangoes and tomato seedlings. Before long, tomato seedlings sprouted everywhere. Then another one. Before long, I had tomatoes sprouting all over, which I did not plant. Having tried to plant tomatoes and miserable failing in the past, I asked myself if this was something I really wanted to do. I figured out, why not? Perhaps there's a lesson or two to learn. Let's see where this leads to. Hi, my name is Faustina, spelled F-O-S-T-I-N-A, last name Mani, spelled M-A-N-I. I am the Global Trade Engagement Director at Better Grains, also the founder of a marketplace called Mothers of Africa Mobile Soko. I believe Africa can feed itself, and that is why I am championing for an agricultural market revolution that favors Africa. Back to my tomato stories. Back to my tomato story. Well, the tomatoes seedlings did grow, and they grew. They grew taller than the mangoes and the avocado seedlings rather quickly. Then I remembered someone telling me I should strap them onto sticks so that they can grow upwards. I thought to myself, let's do this. Before long, the tomatoes had outgrown the sticks and I was running out enough tall sticks and poles. Finally, I remembered seeing someone who was growing tomatoes in her greenhouse using plastic yarn. I thought to myself, why not? How hard can this be? So I tied yarn across my small garden. I tied the tomato seedlings, and I was not quite so sure what I was doing. As you can imagine, I broke a few. The yarn was not in any particular order. In other words, it was messy, but I actually harvested 2 tomatoes, and I thought to myself, this is so cool. Well, the tomatoes grew and kept on growing. I had not realized that the few seeds from my chopping board had found their way into my small garden through my recycled kitchen water. I have never planted a single tomato seed, but my garden is overgrown with tomatoes, different varieties that come in different shapes and sizes. I have since become wiser. Now I only cook with the tomatoes that look appealing because that is what I want to harvest. I am slowly toying with the idea of moving into commercial tomato farming, especially since I have run out of space. The tomatoes ignited an additional passion for playing around with different types of seed. My son's mother-in-law had gifted me with very delicious passion fruits. The very rare and sweet passion fruits that I used to enjoy as a child. I'm used to eating passion fruit seeds and all, but I did not want the seeds going down the sewer drain, so I decided I'd settle for the passion juice instead so that I can save the seed. I took the seeds and threw them on soil that was not planted anything. I did not know how to plant passion fruit. Seeing that the seeds were so many, The naive busy girl I am, I just threw them there and started dumping water on them as I continued to water my mangoes and avocado seeds. For a while, nothing seemed to happen, but I just kept throwing water where I thought I had thrown the passion fruit seeds until the rainy season started. And in a few weeks, my garden was full of passion fruit seedlings. There were so many. Some had even found their way to the tomato under the tomato plants. I have always wanted to have a passion fruit fence, so I planted some along the perimeter wall, both inside and outside of my home. But I still had some much more left. I may have shared how I have always wanted to have a fruit orchard in my previous episodes. Then I realized it was time to begin working towards that, especially in my village. I identified a small parcel of land that had been neglected in the village. It was overgrown with bushes. However, it ran along 2 river streams and had an amazing terrace of rocks. I thought to myself, why not go ahead with this? Plant the passion fruits along the terrace to help strengthen the existing soil erosion terrace. So, off I ventured into passion fruit farming. The only problem was that it was during the dry season, and both my husband and especially my mother-in-law did not seem to understand my logic. They gave me a lecture or two on how not to plant when it is not rainy season. However, seeing that I had been raised in the city, they decided to humor my excitement and figured I would soon learn for myself when my passion fruit dried up. In addition to the passion fruit, I also decided to plant mangoes, avocados, and pawpaws. I saw everyone's raised eyebrows. They simply had not seen my secret weapon, which was my kitchen mortar waste, not to mention the very many plastic bottles I had been collecting because, as previously mentioned, I'm extremely bothered by the plastic bottle waste. So I planted my mangoes, avocados, and passion fruits. I had also carried water in plastic bottles, and I was going to use the plastic bottles for drip irrigations by simply making a hole on the lid of the plastic bottles and then turning it upside down. One of the family workers was gracious enough to advise me to make a big holes at the bottom of the plastic bottle to prevent people from stealing the plastic bottles to use them in fetching water or buying milk in the village. So I made sure my seedlings had more than enough water, then proceeded to place my very simple native sense drip irrigation in place, and off I returned to the city. I was unable to travel to the village for a month or for more than 2 weeks. However, when I finally made it, much to my surprise, the mangoes, the avocados, and the passion fruits were doing exceptionally well, despite evidence of poor rainfall all around me. Most of the maize crops had started to dry up due to inadequate rainfall. My mother-in-law had also stumbled on a TV program showing the use of plastic bottles in drip irrigation and self-watering plants. She was pleasantly surprised that my seedlings were doing very well. Having won her over, she decided she also wanted in on the passion fruit project, and on the second trip she admitted that she had tried growing avocados, pawpaws, bananas, but because there was no one to water them, they had dried up. I asked for permission to take responsibility for her seedlings, which had started drying due to lack of water. My story is not without fail, or should I say lessons learned. I gave in to pressure to allow one of the workers to place the water bottles for me. However, seeing that he did not understand the logic behind the process, he sank the water bottles far below the roots of the passion fruits, so the roots of the passion fruit seedlings were not able to reach the water. So I taught him and demonstrated, but also learned that I must always go over to ensure that the water bottles are well placed. I also incorporated the side tips technology, which are planting pockets and basins so that the water that is dripped there can last longer. Africa is heavily dependent on grain-fed agriculture, even though every homestead is using a minimum of 80 liters of water daily. Most of that water is used in the kitchen and in washing clothes. If each family would collect only 60 liters of the kitchen water waste daily, that would be more than enough water to grow enough onions, tomatoes, carrots, potatoes, and every type of food consumed in every household, both during and after the rainy season. There is a myth that Africans believe that soft water will dry seedlings. The myth that soapy water will dry seedlings is not true. I have used both water waste from the kitchen and that used in washing clothes, and I'm yet to see any seedlings die. Did you know the water in African urban cities, especially that in the dirty rivers in Nairobi, contains all sorts of unmentionable waste such as sewage, which is purified as the water meanders through the ground all over the continent. As the water travels down the stream, any suspended particles, any bacteria are removed naturally. This purification process depends on the makeup of the soil in the riverbanks and the distance from the stream and the distance the stream and the river must travel. Flowing water can clean itself. Physical, chemical, and biological processes are all part of this self-purification ability that water goes through. I hope you do realize that in all this process, there's no machine that is cleaning any of the rivers to make sure that we have pure water that has been purified. No, the water just cleans itself. I hope you have enjoyed my story, and more importantly, uh, I hope to have planted a seed of encouragement to cause you to look into your kitchen water waste as something that you can use to start a small kitchen garden, eventually leading into large commercial farming. Harvesting kitchen water waste is a habit like any other that must be developed. Start with 1 pot of dirty kitchen water and 1 seedlings. Again, you never know where this could lead. Thank you for listening to me, and please like, share, and subscribe so that together we can champion for an agricultural markets revolution that favors Africa so that Africa can be food secure. Thank you and God bless.